In this Elden Ring guide, guys, I'm going to be going over the Ironeye Nightfarer. If you guys love shooting enemies from range and helping out your team by marking enemies so that way they take more damage, then this is the class for you. We're going to be going over all the tips and tricks and preferred weapons, which are obviously bows, but there are some other ones that he can benefit from. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So Ironeye is one of the ranged classes in Elden Ring Nightreign, and he has one of the lowest health pools also, so you gotta be quick and nimble and pretty much keep at range from enemies so that way you don't get one-shotted. But his toolkit allows him to be one of the very best Nightfarers to have in any comp, especially with his passive ability, his ability to have enemies take more damage, and his ult can pretty much clear camp, so that way you can make your runs a lot faster. So first things first, we're going to be talking about his passive ability. Now his passive ability can be one of the greatest in the game because it allows you to get rare weapons, and it's called Eagle Eye. So it reads, a keenly observant eye discovers more items to obtain from foes, and this counts for any enemy that you come across, or even the little loot rewards that you get from clearing out camps or ruins or even the bosses. This gives you a chance of getting more high value loot, and this also applies to your team. So just simply having an Ironeye on your team means you could definitely have a better output for loot in the run. Now going over his character skill, which is called marking, and basically what this does, it creates a weak point when you dash through them with a dagger, and you'll see a red X on the target, and you and your team will also see this red X, and it allows the enemy to take increased damage. It's actually 15% increased damage from all sources, and this is also for you and your team, so your entire team is dealing 15% more damage to the boss or enemy or whoever that you mark with this skill. Now just a quick tip, this skill is a great toolkit for dodging. If you save it for when the enemy is aggroed on you and they're about to hit you, and if you activate this skill and you can end up behind them, still debuffing them and getting a few hits in before they attack somebody else. So I would highly recommend to save your marking skill until you draw aggro. That way you can end up behind the enemy and you can still debuff them for you and your team to deal some more damage. Now moving on to his ultimate, and this is called Single Shot. Now what this reads is fires a powerful arrow that surpasses sound and ignores defense. And basically what this is it's a giant mighty shot that will fire a huge arrow, and it will also pierce through a bunch of enemies. It can knock down different buildings, and it can also stun bosses in place, which is a great way to stun lock a boss, especially if you have a raider on your team and he uses his retaliate or using his totem stella, and then you deal some damage, then you pop out your single shot, will stun the boss as well. So it's a great way to keep stunning the boss, especially if you have a nice team comp together. But also this is great for clearing out camps. So if you have a bunch of ads around you, or if you get to those ever jails that spawn a bunch of enemies and you just want to quickly wipe them out, then pull out the single shot, and you can also hold this so that way you can aim before firing. Now to go over the different weapons that you can use as Ironeye, of course if you are Ironeye you are going to be using bows mainly, especially if you want to find bows that have status ailments on it. So if you have something that has poison, or even if you can get Scarlet Rot, or if you have stuff that has like fire or holy, stuff for the bosses that are weak to, so that way you can deal some extra damage at range. So for instance, you have the Erdtree bow that's holy, which is good for Cerberus and the final boss. Also you can use grease items, so I would highly recommend to go out and find grease items while you're clearing camps, because you can apply these on pretty much any bow. That way you can deal any of these different status effects on the different enemies or bosses. Now that's not all when it comes to Ironeye. Now he does have an A in Dex, and he does have a B in Arcane, which allows him to wield some other weapons that you could also, possibly get for Ironeye as well if you want to go for a melee option, even though it's not really what you want to do for Ironeye because he has a low health pool. But he still has a B in Arcane, which allows him to apply status effects, maybe not as well as Executor, but you still can use a wide variety of Dex weapons. For example, we have the different claws. You could also go for the different whips, which most of these whips all have A scaling and dexterity. There's also the different spears. The spears have a pretty good dex scaling as well. They're all pretty much B scaling, so you could use those as well. There's also the different pole blades, or the twin blades I should say. These have some pretty good dex on them, especially the Eleanor's pole blade has bleed effect on it. Then you can also use the katanas as well. These have all pretty good scaling with dexterity, so you could use Hannah Melania still for Ironeye. And there's also the rapiers, which I think the ant spur rapier is really good because it applies Scarlet Rot, and it does pierce damage, so this is a really good option. And you can also use the different daggers. There's a bunch of different daggers in Elden Ring Nightreign, and you could use these as well. Now, when it comes to the relics, most of the ones that you want to look out for is, of course, improved bow attack power. And you can also get ones that have HP respiration on bow attacks, anything that increases your dexterity. Then you have this one that you can buy from the jar guy, which extends your duration of weak point, gives you more endurance and some more dexterity points. There's also ones that you could look out for that give you an additional character skill use, so you can have 2 different instances of marking on your character, or you can even have one that gives you a poison effect when you activate your ult. And this one, like right here, I can use dagger upon HP restoration, and also gives me an ultimate art gauge. So this one's not too bad, but it also is pretty cool to have a poison effect with your ultimate. So these are some of the ones that you want to look out for. Anything that raises dex, stamina usage, anything that improves your Ironeye skills or ultimates, those are the relics that you want to look out for. And of course, I cannot highly recommend this enough, especially with each and every of these character guides. If you are planning to main the character, then you definitely want to complete their Remembrance, because it gives you one of the best chalices in the game. I wasn't able to show you on this video because I haven't completed the one with Ironeye yet, but completing the Remembrances gives you the best chalices in the game for that character, because it usually always gives you a white slot, which means you can apply any color relic in those chalices. Also, you get some really cool items, such as 2 relics. Usually you get one with 2 effects, and then one with 3 effects towards the end. And of course, you get a nice little outfit towards the end of the Remembrance. So I can't recommend this enough, where go and complete the Remembrances, especially if you are maining each of these characters. Now, for my final thoughts on Ironeye, I can't stress this enough. He is one of the best when it comes to party compositions. Usually what I tell people is, if you have an Ironeye and a Raider on your team, and usually the 3rd slot or the 3rd player can be almost any player that you want. As long as you have an Ironeye and a Raider on your team, this is usually the team comp that I like to go for, because you have, the passive skill from Ironeye that allows you to get some better loot. Then you also have 2 instances of stunning, such as the ult from Ironeye, and you can also ult from the Raider, which summons the Totem Stella. And you can also have the Raider with his Retaliate, which also applies a huge stagger. So the 3rd player could be anyone they want. They could be Duchess, they could be Revenant, they could be Wilder, Guardian, whichever one that they want to go with. So these are pretty much the tips that I would like to share with you guys when it comes to team comps. I think at least having Raider and Ironeye are one of the goated combos that you can have in Elden Ring and Nightreign. And this pretty much wraps up my Ironeye character guide, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing to the channel, as we got more Elden Ring Nightreign content coming your way. And if you guys have any more character guides that you want to share, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And also, guys, please check out the links in the description if you want to join our Discord, as we would love to have you and join our Lost Days gaming community. But that's going to be it from us, guys. I will see y'all in the next video. Deuces.